I'm here if you can hear me. I'm talking to the computer.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, may I get a roll call, please?
Alderman here. Alderman Campbell here. Alderman Flores is absent. Alderman Galloway is absent. Alderman Gardner. Is he unmuted, Sam? He's looking.
I can hear you now.
Alderman Gardner.
Yes.
He's muted.
No. I am not muted.
Oh, that's what I thought.
I'm here.
There we go.
Thank you.
All
Alderman
right.
Preston. We have 4 aldermen present. We have a quorum.
All right, perfect. Right now, if anybody would like to make a motion approving the minutes of the December 20 Board of Aldermen legislative session or any amendments to those minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Motion was made by Alderman Poston, seconded by Alderman Campbell to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I just want to remind everybody, since we do have somebody on Zoom, if everybody make sure their mics are turned on when they're speaking so that Mr. Gardner will be able to hear us. No ceremonial matters scheduled, scheduled visitors and guests. Mr. Childers.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. As the board is probably aware, we are in an environment economically that makes us very suitable to evaluate whether or not we can do refunding of our current debt. Basically, that is similar to, very simplistically, refinancing your house. So we were looking at refinancing or refunding debt service that the city has. This is particularly debt service from the 2013 certificates of participation, which had to do with water infrastructure. So 2013 certificates of participation were water infrastructure bonds. And so what we have done is we have been discussing with various companies, but working with Stiefel, who is an organization that you'll hear from tonight. Martin Gaffori with that organization is here, who's going to walk us through what the refunding analysis is for the city's outstanding debt. Now, we are just looking at the 2013. You probably recall, as we went through the sewer master plan, you saw 2014 and 2015 and other years where we have other certificates of participation. Some of those will be coming up, but they're not callable yet. So we will go through the process once we get there, but we wanted to start with what is currently in play right now. So the longer we wait, basically the less savings we have. So Martin, if you could introduce yourself and your company, and please let the board know. Yeah, push that. There you go. No, what we're looking at.
You're good. When it's solid red, you're good.
Okay. All right, cool. Hey, everybody. I'm Martin Gaffori with Stiefel. I'm pretty sure we've probably seen many of you at various points at MML events or different things, kind of all around. I did want to go over just a couple pieces on this. I did prepare a little bit of a packet for you. Really, what we're talking about is just refinancing your debt that you have outstanding from your 2013 COPs, as Steve kind of laid the groundwork for. Essentially, you have about 5.5 million of bonds that's outstanding right now. You also have what's called a debt service reserve fund that's outstanding at the moment, and that's around $700,000. And what that is that's really just an account that was established when you set up the bonds to begin with. In the event that you don't have the funds on hand or make the payment in time, that debt service reserve fund would step in and make that payment for you. So in these days, I'm not sure what you're earning on it right now, Mary Edna. Are you earning much on that debt service reserve fund?
Close to 1%.
Okay.
We have the
Okay.
outfit that does.
Yeah. Okay.
Investment for us, the reserve funds, leaseholds.
Okay.
So it's pretty good right now.
Okay. So that's much better than a lot of other people are able to get on their funds on hand. But one of the things that was going to be taking place here is you can see we're issuing about 4.8 million of COPs is what our analysis is assuming. What we're doing is we're actually taking that $700,000 of the debt service reserve fund and adding that to this transaction to pay off more debt. So essentially you're going to have 4.8 million as opposed to the 5.5 million that's outstanding now. But part of the reason is we're taking that cash on hand and just paying bonds off. We won't be funding a new debt service reserve fund. And the reasoning is because in the market these days, investors are totally okay with taking on that risk that if there is something to take place, they're not too concerned that you need to have that debt service reserve fund. There's no penalty, there's no interest rate penalty associated with that. So the analysis that we have here is really what we're looking at as far as refinancing this. The all-in true interest cost is similar to like your APR on a mortgage. It takes into account all of the estimated costs. We will work to get all of the final costs and everything put together here in the next week or so and get that all included in this analysis. But we took a pretty conservative approach right now to say this is what we're estimating for the cost of issuance. The cumulative savings figure, that's your cash flow savings. So the savings that the city would actually realize, about $1.5 million on your budget. And we're not extending the debt. What we're doing is we're actually just keeping the debt the same and the same structure as what you have currently. We're literally just going to be lowering the interest rates from, I believe your interest rates right now, your average coupon is, I believe, about, no, that's on the other one here. Average coupon of the bonds that we're refunding is about 4.4%, and we're going down to right around 2%, as you can see with that all-in true interest cost. So cutting it essentially in half, and we're not extending the debt. Again, just want to make sure we know, it's not like when you go out for mortgage, if you do a 30-year mortgage originally and then go back and do another 30-year, you can do however you want to do it with the house and all that. You can do it however you want to do it as far as restructuring if you wanted to. But what we're showing here is just level savings. So savings that are essentially the same, just lowering your debt payments. And you can see the average annual savings are shown here in 2021 to 2032. It's about just under $100,000 per year. And then your 2033 approximate savings is significantly higher. That's because of that debt service reserve fund. We had, the way that it was structured originally is you had a doubled up payment essentially at the end, and we're not going to continue to mimic that structure. So you'll just have significant savings in 2033 of nearly, $475,000 in that year. So we're not doing anything to extend the debt in any way. And then the net present value savings is just PVing or taking the present value of that 1.5 million and saying this is what it is in today's dollars. It equates to about 700,000 and change. And when you look at it, what we look at as far as the percentage of savings, this is a current refunding, if you're doing a current refunding, really it's almost like if you're able to save more than 2%, 3%, you're doing a good job and you're saving a decent amount of money. You can see here it's 12%. That's a pretty sizable savings figure. And that's on the present value side too. So we're not looking at it as a percentage of the cash flow savings. We're looking at it as the percentage of the present value savings, which is kind of discounting everything in today's dollars. I'm not going to run through much on this back page here. There's a bunch of different clients that we work with in the area. We just looked at like a 30-mile radius from here, and this is a list of some, and it's ever growing. So we may have another one or two in the area here in the next couple of months. And then interest rates have been moving up and down, really. You can see in this graph down here, it shows you 5-year history compared to where we were 5 years ago. You guys are doing great. You know, you guys are going to be able to go to the market and really capture interest rates. They're significantly less than where you were 5 years ago. And you can see, even if you just kind of zoom in or just focus really since 2021, you can see we're almost at the same level as where we were a year ago. So it's not like you're really in a bad position in any way. I think you guys are really set up to really achieve some significant savings and able to move forward to be able to use those funds to do maybe some other things around the city. The last page here, I did put together a draft schedule. Essentially we were going to try and get things going as soon as we could just to get these savings locked in. We were going to work with Steve, Mary Edna to get everything moving on this. We could kick things off tomorrow and really let the finance team and everybody know this is what's going on. This is a blueprint as far as the timing for everybody, so they know exactly what's going to take place. Documents need to be drafted. We have to have discussions with the rating agencies. We have to have due diligence discussion with the city. So there's a number of things that take place before we can go to market. I wish we could just say, hey, the rates are locked now. Let's go ahead and move on this. It's just not that easy. So it is a couple month process at a minimum. We tried to expedite this as much as we could. This really shows that we're going to come back to you on March 7th for the pricing. So that's when we'll actually go to market that morning, and we'll come back and present the final results from that day. We'll say, this is what happened. We're going to lock these rates. We're going to set these rates at this point, and we'll come to you that evening to get all the documents executed and to proceed with the closing, which would take place about 10 days later on the 17th of March. So it's a few month process, 2.5 months or so. It's going to be, you know, a decent lift from Steve and Mary Edna, but we'll work with them to alleviate that as much as possible and try to minimize that. But it's something that's really, really good for the city. It's something that takes place a lot as far as refinancing or refunding your debt. And it's something that, I mean, we've been talking about for a little while. So I think now is a good time to move on it. If you guys have any questions, happy to answer, walk you through in as much detail as you'd like.
Mr. Campbell.
Good to me. The only question I've got has really to do with the schedule and the March 7th date, the schedule overall, but specifically the March 7th date. Does that allow for us to have a first meeting and then 2 weeks later have a second meeting and vote on it at the time we know the specifics of it, or is it something we're going to have to expedite when that time comes?
So do you typically have 2 readings for all ordinances and things? Yeah.
Like this stage or which they just got the information. Because that's how this works. And the ordinance, although it will be proposed, need to be done in so they certainly have to sponsor a bill, whoever that may be, recommend that we take advantage of that. Those figures at 9.
Okay.
I can't hear Steve.
No, you can't.
Your microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I apologize.
Now you're up.
So one thing that could be done is potentially take the form of the ordinance and bring that forward on maybe February 22nd or another date in advance. It won't have the interest rates filled in because we won't know that until we have the actual final pricing. But you could have a first reading of the ordinance at that meeting, and it should be in final form or pretty near final form, aside from dropping in the final numbers. And then on the 7th, then you could have the second reading and adopt the true full document. You know, I would lean on you or your counsel as far as you guys want to go.
Callaway.
Since as a fourth class city, we can have both readings at the same meeting. So it would be fine to bring forward a complete bill and request that it be expedited, and staff can certainly recommend that.
Mr. Posto.
Yes, sir. So the 700K reserve fund.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming that the savings I've seen is a combination of the drop in interest rates plus using that to pay down the debt, right?
So the cash flow savings or the cumulative savings has essentially what it is it's adding in that 695,000 to that number. So if you want to know what the cash flow savings without that reserve fund is, you just take away 700,000.
Okay, so that was going to be, I guess my question is there any benefit to refinancing for a drop in interest rate, but taking the 700K if possible and moving forward with some projects that we don't have funding for right now?
In the particular case of water and sewer, I don't think we're in a situation where that's necessarily something we have to do. I'm not saying you certainly couldn't do that. I think that would be something that I would recommend when the Park and Recreation or OC bonds come available, that we know we've got some improvements that we need to utilize that for, and typically in that particular budget, there's not any other revenue source. But being that it is, it's kind of 6 one, half a dozen of the other, the more we save on an annual basis, the more money that we're going to free up in that budget anyway. So your revenues and expenses end up being the same. I don't know that it really makes a difference. So,
I know that you could take those reserve funds from the 2013 reserve, you have to use those funds. And I would think that we will have to use those reserve funds to pay out that debt.
Okay.
In other words, we can't just apply to the and say, oh, to give us those reserve funds, we're gonna refund it, if they're not going to see that.
Okay.
But we will certainly have savings from a lower interest rate, and of course, we'll be paying debt on a lower amount of money. To do additional projects, that keep estimates $98,000. We'll certainly have that amount to apply to other expense into the water.
Thank you.
You could fund up a project fund and size the issue around your savings amount. So you could fund up a new project fund of whatever the savings equal. So it would be probably around 800,000 or so if we were doing the PV. Maybe it'd be 900 or something, it'd be around that ballpark. Okay. But I mean, that is something that could be done. It's just, you're right, Maria, that you wouldn't be able to just, hey, UMB, give us this money, we're gonna do that. You have to actually add it to this bond issue as far as a new project. And then you could say, hey, we wanna keep our debt service essentially the same as what it was before, but we wanna fund up new projects too.
Okay.
And then you could do that, and you could structure it however you want, really. It's just, it's going to be a board decision as far as.
essentially like you'd have a home equity loan, or sometimes when you refinance, they say, do you want to cash back on this loan? And you say, why, yes, I'm going to take this out, but that's the value that you're saving there. So yes, you could do that, but
No reason.
the annual debt savings of $98,000 will get you probably where you want to go anywhere. And I think the water sewer fund and the rates are set to a point where we're going to be fine to be able to get the projects done based on the timeline that has been presented by our public works director within the water sewer master plan.
All right.
So,
And then as long as rates don't go through the roof, you do have another bond issue that has a call date in 2023.
true.
So when you're looking at that could be another topic of discussion for that bond issue as well. So just something to keep in mind.
All right, perfect. Any other questions?
No, sir.
No. All right, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Look forward to seeing how this works out.
Yeah.
All right. New bills. Mr. Gardner.
Yes, I move that we put Bill 3327 on its first reading by title only.
Motion was made by Alderman Gardner, seconded by Alderman Poston to place bill number 3327 on its first reading by title only. All those in favor?
An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Springfield, Missouri for acquisition of imagery from Pictometry International Corporation.
Mr. McCart?
Yes, so we have partnered with this, the city of Springfield since 2008, which works with Pictometry. And there's many entities around this area that join with us, and it allows us to get a better price. And it actually allows us to get more imagery at the same time. So the imagery or the cost for the city of Ozark is going to stay the same price as it has the last 3 flights, and we will continue this same price on for the next 2 years after this one, so through 2026. So if you guys have any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer them.
May I have any questions for Mr. McCart? I don't see any questions. You did a great job explaining that. All right. Anybody in the audience here to speak on this bill? Hearing none. There's no one on Zoom but Mr. Gardner, is that correct? All right, there's nobody on Zoom. All right, if there are no other questions, comments, or concerns with regards to the bill, to be held over to the next legislative session. Mr. Galloway.
I move we place bill number 3328 on its first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Poston, to place bill number 3328 on its first reading by title and description only. All those in favor?
An ordinance calling for and giving notice of a general municipal election to be held on April 5th, 2022, to elect aldermen for wards 1, 2, and 3.
All right. Any board comments with regards to the bill? Mr. Poston?
Yes, sir. So probably noticed that my name is not on there. I think you all know that my job's changed a lot over the last year. I've taken on a different role. And so I think it's time for me to step back a little bit. I'm not going anywhere, and I think there's probably plenty for me to still do, but I've taken this role seriously. I think you guys know that. I put a lot of time and effort into it, and it's kind of taken a toll a little bit, and I need a bit of a break. So 8 years is time for a rest.
Well, you will be missed. You will be missed. You've done a great job filling in for me when I stepped aside. So it's been good. It's been good. Any other questions or comments from the board? Hearing none. Is there anyone in the audience here to speak on this bill? You're flashing over there. Do you need something? There you go.
City staff requests that this be expedited tonight so that it can be placed on the ballot with the second language that we will be considering tonight.
Perfect. All right. And no one on Zoom. Okay, so,
Well, I've got a comment.
okay, I'm sorry.
No problem. I just wanted, I wish I was there to tell Nathan to his face, but he has been an exemplary alderman for the time that he's been there, and is probably one of the most prepared I've ever seen. And during my time as mayor, he was liaison to planning and zoning, and that was a major undertaking. And I just want to thank him for the time that he spent doing that. So just wanted to say that. So thank you, Nathan.
All right. Well, if there's no additional comments from the audience and or from the board, then I will entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3328 on its second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Poston, to place bill number 3328 on its second reading by title and description only. All those in favor?
An ordinance calling for and giving notice of a general municipal election to be held on April 5th, 2022, to elect aldermen for wards 1, 2, and 3.
All right, any additional comments? Mr. Galloway?
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3328 as ordinance number 22-001.
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Poston to adopt bill number 3328 as ordinance number 22-001. May I get a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Gardner,
Yes, aye.
Alderman Alder. Alderman Poston.
Aye.
Alderman Flores is absent. Alderman Galloway. Alderman Campbell.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes, motion carries.
All right. Mr. Galloway, back to you.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3326 on its second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Poston to place bill number 3326 on its second reading by title only. All those in favor?
An ordinance calling an election in the city of Ozark, Missouri on April 5th, 2022.
All right, are there any additional comments, questions, or concerns with regards to this bill? Hearing none, Mr. Galloway?
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3326 as ordinance number 22-022.
How about just 2 zeros and 1 2? Okay, motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Poston to enact bill number 3326 as ordinance number 22-002. May I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Alderman Campbell.
Aye.
Alderman Poston.
Aye.
Alderman Alder. Alderman Flores is absent. Alderman Gardner.
Aye.
Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes, motion carries.
All right, that concludes all the legislative business. Report of officers, boards, and committees. Mr. Childers.
Microphone.
Sorry about that. I don't really have any additional things to add to the agenda. I just want to welcome everybody to 2022. The staff is ready and anxious to get moving on many, many projects. I think it's a very exciting time for Ozark, and I look forward to things to come. So that's really all I had, and thank you guys for being here and helping us get things done.
Perfect. Mr. Gardner, go right ahead.
Yes, I've just got a question. I know that a while back in a private meeting with the residents of 4th Street, we determined that they did not wish to have any signs put up, that they were satisfied with the parking situation. And then Mr. Robinson came back from a winter vacation and indicated that, reminded us that it was in the PUD that we would do something about that. So I just wondered what the status was, not trying to raise a hornet's nest. I don't think there is one. I just want to know what the status of that is, since it was in the PUD document that we would do it, but now the agents, or not the agents, but the residents say that they don't think we need it. So just a question.
That project has been turned over to the Public Works Department. The Public Works Department is actively working with the Finley Farms management. And right now there are signs that are actually going through the process of design. They have identified exactly where the signs would go as far as making sure that we put in a safe place so that the signs don't do as they had done before, which is visually block any of the view when you turn into that intersection right there. So Public Works is actively working with Finley Farms on the final design of that, which we're happy to share before we actually go to production and so forth, if you feel like that's important, which it may very well be. John McCart, I know, is working with Adam at Finley Farms, and we're about there. So right now we should have some pictures in the next couple of weeks. So and that way we can show 4th Street, and we can go about the exact locations of where putting flags in the ground and saying this is where the signs are going to go. So.
Well, I've got another follow-up question. This is really to Ms. Callaway. That sounds like the perfect solution. But since the PUD ordinance says that we are going to do something, is that going to suffice for what we're required to do in that ordinance?
The city has 3 options for handling that. The Board of Aldermen can propose an ordinance that would meet the condition that you're referencing that was on the PUD. And then if the sponsor of the bill decides not to bring it forward due to the comments that were received at that meeting with the residents of 4th Street, that would be an option. Another option would be to present the bill to the board and then explain the reason why the sponsor no longer wants to move forward with it and actually have a vote on the bill. Or it could also be brought forward and then die for lack of a second. So those are options if there is a concern related to that condition.
Okay, well, it sounds like I'm trying to complicate things and I'm really not. I just, because I don't think we need to do anything further. But since the PUD ordinance says that we do, I just wonder if there's something we need to do to make that right or make it go away. So does that make sense, Amanda?
Yes, I can prepare something with the original sponsor of that and bring it forward at an appropriate time to the board.
Sounds good.
All right. Mr. Poston.
Yes, sir. So there may be another round of COVID coming our way. Are we good with laptops and everything we need? If anybody needs to work from home, are we good?
Yeah, I know just the recent update we know we've been working on. I think that through the last COVID situation, we became very prepared for being able to work remotely if we need to. As you know, one of the departments that were most heavily affected by that was those that invite the public into a building, which was our municipal court. We have since modified that, where even though we still have a municipal court docket that is being held over at the circuit court facility, so we will take their lead in whatever they choose to do, or whatever they're directed to do by the federal court or the state court to follow those rules. But yeah, I think that we're very I feel very confident that we've got the technical equipment to be able to do this. I know that Ms. Payne is in the middle of and or seeking bids right now to upgrade this particular facility to have better capabilities, so that when we do have with the general a meeting, or when they have to Zoom, maybe we have a presentation, which I believe we last time, where it's more convenient for them rather than flying, be able to give their presentation to Zoom. We're going to ARPA funds, which to upgrade those. Thirdly, it's not really a COVID situation, and just our work advance our technological capabilities. We have upgraded all the switches between the buildings. Quite a bit of issue. Old technology, not technology, and some communication going on from all of our have been resolved. We also have a system, which is actually going to the city money on a monthly and annual basis. So we're really making a lot of technological advances, which are actually improving our efficiency as well as our effectiveness. So I'm glad you asked the question, and I feel like we're very, I think we're very capable of providing off-site office space if we need to.
Along that same vein, do we have anybody that comes in periodically to talk about security, cybersecurity, technology?
We have been working, my security, you're talking about just general, yeah.
Practices.
We started that, and we actually, might have been a couple of years ago, when we did a security study, and we did that through all of our facilities, all the way from the OC, all the way over to the police department and so forth. As you all know, the facilities themselves, present some limitations to us just because of the way the buildings are so old and are laid out. But yes, we have been researching also improving our security in the facilities, and we're close to getting that solution. But there's a lot of security companies out there. There's a lot of products out there, and you can go too far, too fast. And so we just want to make sure that we don't overextend what
Well,
we're
not
trying to
necessarily
do.
always talking about buying things, but even, does our insurance provider provide training on what to watch for to make sure that,
What to do in an emergency situation?
No. I'm talking about employees falling victim to email scams or
Cyber, yeah.
If we're gonna start giving more people city laptops, city phones, are we using VPN, et cetera, et cetera?
We actually have a lot of conversations about that, and that's one of the reasons why we are going through our entire rack and our main servers and making sure that we're upgrading to the best security, cybersecurity that we can have, or that we can afford from a city standpoint. I feel secure that we are that where we need to be. I'll be honest. I know I get random emails. I know my staff gets random emails. I mean, we all do. We'll call each other and say, hey, did you get this? Don't open this. So it is happening more frequently. But I think our firewalls and the things that we have in place to protect against that are good. But I don't know that there's anything that's perfect. But I can tell you that we're happy to have our IT folks come to a non-legislative working meeting, or even to the board, and visit with you a little bit more if you do have specific questions about that.
I would just like to know that the employees are getting that training, that they're, yes, please.
Our IT department is doing that.
Okay.
We have had a couple of instances where we've been attacked from outside. We have a really good backup system that saved us some more than one page. And they do recommend best practices to our employees. They can even identify where those vulnerabilities in some cases after the fact.
Right.
So they have to address some of those.
Okay.
So I'm talking to employees about the best practice. And our insurance carrier, also, we have a special rider for IT protection on there.
Okay.
And they do offer training for those best practices. And you have to fill out questionnaires. I'm sure Chambers handle some of that about our training and about how we handle the security, how our IT security with regards to credit card information we pay, how we pay, how it's protected. So yes, we do address some of the concerns that you're talking about. Is it enough? I don't know if there's ever such thing as enough, but certainly try to stay constant.
I hope that, let's take advantage of anything, anything that the insurance company is going to give us, anything that our IT vendors will, training wise, will provide us. Let's take advantage of it. All the security in the world, the weak point's always going to be the person. You click on that email, I don't care how good your firewall was, you still open that email, you let them in, so.
No, I agree, and we certainly will look at all the other opportunities for training as well.
And I just bring it up because it's, even at Jack Henry, it's getting substantially worse.
It is just awful. It's scary.
Yeah, now that we were getting phones, I'm really surprised how many times a night I get a text from the CEO. Hard to believe he's texting me every night, but he seems to be.
Yeah.
So it's just.
Well, don't open it.
Yeah. So please take advantage of any training that they will provide us.
I think that's a great advice, and I support that.
Mr. Campbell.
As everybody knows, I've been out of the loop for 3 or 4 years. And I've got something on my mind that I just kind of want to know where we're at on. And I don't need an answer tonight, nothing like that. But it probably involves the Public Works Department. As everybody knows that, well, I guess everybody doesn't know anymore what the tornado season is, because we're having tornadoes in December, and we may have one in February or March, I don't know. But so I would like, if they're not already doing it, I would like for the Public Works Department, I'd like to request that they let us know a schedule for the siren testing. Because the last thing we want to do is have a tornado and find out our sirens don't work. And I don't know does the normal tornado season start in like May or something like that?
It starts in the spring, but like you said, I mean, we're having weather conditions in the winter that can devastate an entire Midwestern cities, so I will say that in the past, our siren system was not adequate, and we've spent quite a bit of revenue and adequate revenue and a lot of resources and effort to bring that system into what we think is a much better situation. I would like to maybe offer to the mayor that that too be a topic for a non-legislative work session. I think it would be an opportunity for Public Works to be able to bring to our emergency management department and liaison of Public Works to bring that information to you, to let you see what we do and how we test that, provide you with that schedule, which we can do immediately. We certainly can do that. Let you know how our city actually communicates on a regular basis with the county EMA, and because it's all connected. When a tornado comes through, it's all connected. It's not one tower or the other. You have to make sure that it's all communicating, and that takes a lot of people and a lot of coordination. So I would like to, it's a great topic, and I think that we could bring that forward to you soon.
Okay, and I think, the sooner the better. And again, it's just a request, and I think it's a good request myself.
I just want to say that they do test every fire hydrant, every storm siren, the first Wednesday of every month at 10 a.m. and they work. So, and this is the first time, it's almost a year, we've had everyone working at the same time. So Tim Ogden, he works with EMA constantly, and he's done a really good job of that. So they are all up and running, and you should hear it 10 o'clock this Wednesday.
All this information is on our website as well. I got it pulled up. I think you guys should be able to see it. It's all listed right here. It says Wednesday. That's no appreciation. And they also send out Swift. We send out Swift where people can get emergency notifications for anything. So
Okay.
we push that on our social media.
Sure.
But the standard operating procedures part is on our website. It's under emergency management.
So sounds like maybe we're already on top of it.
We are. It's always good for an informational topic like that to come before a non-legislative meeting, because as Ms. Payne just said, we can send out SWIFT, and someone may say, well, what is that? I want to explain to you what that is and how a person who's a water resident or a customer, or utility customer, they can sign up for that and say, I would like regular notices. I would like you to text me. I'd like you to send me these things. As a board, you may or may not know that your citizens can get that, and they may ask you that question, and you may not know how to answer that. But I don't know. I just think it's a good topic for an educational component of our agenda on our non-legislative meeting.
And when you say SWIP or whatever you're saying, is that an acronym for something?
John, Samantha.
SWIP.
SWIP.
Yeah, SWIP is I don't know what's the name for it. It's an acronym, but I don't.
Okay. I'm sure I can get online and find it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
Anyway, any other questions for Mr. Childers? Any other staff members want to give an update from their department? They all break eye contact with me when I said that. All right, Board Wall, any questions, comments, concerns? Motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Alder to adjourn this legislative session. All those in favor? That is unanimous.